I know I can't be the only one who could possibly be in the middle of this many books at one time. It's ridiculous. I'll explain. Let's just get right into the video. Hey y'all. So welcome to, or welcome back to my channel, Scotty Cherie Reads. As you can tell from the thumbnail, I am going to be talking about what I like to call my pile of shame. So I am a major mood reader and just pick things up willy-nilly depending on how I feel that day. I've been trying to kind of get in the habit of doing TBRs. For instance, I'm currently participating in July Noir, which is a 2-week-long short readathon from Bree over at Blackoween for the infamous Blackoweenathon. And next month, which that video should be out soon, I have a TBR for the Full Moon Readathon, which is hosted over by Jan Agaton, over at Jan Agaton, obviously. And in between some of those books, I just pick up what I want, and then sometimes I just set them down. So I'm just gonna go over the list of all of these books that I have here, explain why I possibly put it down, if I plan on picking it up again, if I think it's a soft DNF for the moment. And I kind of want your guys' interaction to see if there's a book here that you're like, okay, Scotty, you definitely need to pick that up. It's one of my favorites. That's what I need. I need some encouragement to pick some of these up and keep going. So let's get into this big ass stack. All right, so I'm gonna get the really popular ones out of the way first. And to start, we have A Little Life. So before all of the lovers for A Little Life come at me, I just want to say that I am liking this book. I'm not very far into it. However, I did pick it up and I got over halfway through. This was pre-pandemic and I don't remember why I set it down. Maybe it was too heavy at that point or life just kind of got in the way and I went back to work. I feel like that was probably what it was. Anyway, I was gonna pick this up for June for Queer Reads. However, I didn't realize that Hanya Yanagihara was a woman. Y'all probably like the name's Hanya, you probably didn't know, but I don't know, I guess like from the cover and stuff, I just assume it was a male. And when I figured that out, I put it down right away and picked up a different book from an actual queer writer. Okay, let me say that I don't know if Hanya is queer or not, but the perspective is from 4 men, so I feel like that was kind of weird and I could have found better representation elsewhere, so that's what I chose to do during that month. However, at some point I do want to read this book because there's so many critiques with this novel that I want to decipher it myself and be able to read it myself to make up my own opinions about it. I think I already know what some of my opinions are just based off of reading it right now, but I think it would be good discourse to have in a video kind of critiquing this book. So I'm not actively in the middle of it. Like I said, I have the Full Moon Readathon that's coming up, and this isn't on my radar for August. However, I do plan on picking it up in the future and doing an in-depth video about this novel. So I will get to it. I am enjoying it, but just give me a couple more months when I'm ready to pick this one up. Next up is another BookTube lover. People love this book and this author, and that is Babel by R.F. Kuang. Hear me out. It's good so far, but it's a little slow for my taste, and I think I need to go back to the Poppy War. So I read the Poppy War a few years ago, and I haven't continued yet. Spoiler alert, for the second half of August, I plan on continuing on with fantasy series, but I'm going to need your guys' help to help me pick once you see that TBR video, which should be out in a couple of days. And the Poppy War trilogy is on there, and I'm hoping to finish that one. I think understanding R.F. Kuang's writing style and the fast-pacedness of the Poppy War is what I need right now, especially because so far this year I haven't read very many fantasy books, even though I like them, and I just kept getting a little bored when picking up Babel just because it's a little more in-depth than I was expecting. Well, not that I was expecting, but what I need in the moment to get back into my love of fantasy. I just don't think this is the right one to pick up to get back into fantasy. So I'm holding off on this one till a little bit later in the year. I want to finish the Poppy War trilogy first and then come back to this one. But I will definitely finish this one and give my thoughts and opinions on it in a few months after I read the Poppy War trilogy. Okay, this next book I am pretty embarrassed about because I don't really have a good reason as to why I haven't finished it, and that is The Skin Was Once Mine by Eric LaRocca. So this book is short to begin with. It's a collection of only 4 short stories. I've read Eric LaRocca before and have loved their tiny little novellas. And I picked this one up originally for the Enby Book Club, which is hosted by Jessie over at Jessie on YouTube. And I didn't finish it before the live show happened, so then I kind of set it down. And when I say I'm so close to finishing, like, I literally only have this much left. It's probably like 20 or 30 pages, and it's just part of the last short story out of the 4. I think realistically, the way I was feeling with this short story collection, it was just kind of average. It was a 3-star. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. But because I missed the live show, I just set it down and just haven't gravitated towards it. I like horror, and I've been picking up other horrors instead, but I need to just pick this up one night and finish it. It'll take me like 20 to 30 minutes, and then I'll complete another book to just check off the box. If you've read this one, let me know how you feel. If this is kind of an average star rating for Eric LaRocca, if you really liked it, or if it was a disappointing read for you. But hopefully I'll pick this one up shortly and finish it because it'll take me no time. This next book is Did You Hear About Kitty Carr by Crystal Smith Paul, and I really like this book so far. So I ended up picking this one up because I am doing a year-long project leading up to the Goodreads Choice Awards this year that happens in like November, I believe. But I picked 10 books that seem interesting to me from the 2023 finalist list of the debut authors. And I've finished like 2 or 3 so far. I've been vlogging this whole thing, and I started the audiobook of Did You Hear About Kitty Carr? And I got about 60% of the way into it, and I was loving it so much that I got a physical copy, and I'm actually going to restart the story and annotate because I love it so much. It's a fun read. It's different than what I expected it to be. I am glad that I went into it kind of blind because it's making the story really engaging. Think of a black version of Taylor Jenkins Reid with some race elements and stuff added into it. And I think so far I'm liking it even better than 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I liked a lot. But yeah, this is one that I hope to pick up very soon and continue with for that vlog. So look out for that vlog in the future and let me know your thoughts if you've read this one so far. And also, even though I haven't finished it, like I said, if you like Taylor Jenkins Reid and you want a little bit more of a diverse read, definitely pick this one up for sure. Next up, we have The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I know, I feel like I'm probably the last person on BookTube to have not read this book. There's really no excuse for why I haven't finished it, except for I think I started it in 2020 and I was reading it before I went to bed. And I think it was just too heavy for me at that time, so I set it down. Let's see where I was. Yeah, so it looks like I got like close to halfway finished with it. And I do remember liking it. I remember liking having the perspective of Death being the narrator, but I will have to restart this book when I choose to reread it. I'm hoping to reread it soon. I think I'm in a mood to pick up another World War II book. It's been a long time since I've read one, so I'm excited to pick up this classic and be able to understand what happened. I mean, I think the ending for most World War II books, I pretty much know there's probably going to be some sort of death, but I don't know. I don't want to be spoiled for it. I can't believe I haven't been spoiled for it. But yeah, hopefully I can fit this on a TBR here soon because I am very eager to pick it up. We have another BookTube favorite, and that is Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. So this is a middle grade that everyone pitches as being Harry Potter-esque. I picked it up a few years ago. Again, not really sure why I put it down. I got at least a third of the way in. Yeah, I honestly don't remember why I haven't picked it up or why I set it down to begin with. However, I do know why I haven't picked it up yet. I am going to have to restart it because I don't remember much at all. But I'm currently reading Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, and that's another middle grade YA. I think it's middle grade. I'll put it down here once I look it up. It's middle grade or YA. It's a younger reader. But that's another Harry Potter-esque world that people talk a lot about. And no shade, but I just wanted to support B.B. Alston because his third book is planning on coming out this year. So I'm reading that with Jess Owens and the Owenstown crew, which I talk about in almost every video. We're rereading that in anticipation for the third book that's going to come out. So once I finish that series, then this will be the middle grade that I will choose to pick up and go through. I believe there's at least 3 books. There might be 4. I'll put it on the screen. Yeah, another cutesy one, but I just want to get through Amari's series before picking this one back up. All right, now this one is one that y'all are really gonna think I'm crazy for, and I can't believe I haven't read this, or I can't believe I'm on BookTube and trying to do this seriously without having read this book. I feel like such a phony, and that is Percy Jackson and the Olympians with the first book, The Lightning Thief. Yeah, y'all, I haven't read it. I started the audiobook years ago, and not gonna lie, the audiobook was not doing it for me. I think that the voices and stuff were just too young, and like it was a really high-pitched squeaky voice, and it just put me off from it. But I hear absolutely phenomenal things about this book, and this is the book that's gotten a lot of people into reading. It's a nostalgia, like childhood favorite for so many. So I actually picked up the Illumicrate editions. They released a set, I think it was last year, and I picked them all up. I'm gonna have to restart it. Like I said, I started the audiobook like way back in like 2017, 2018. But I am very eager to pick it up. These new versions look awesome. I just know audiobooks not for me. It'll be easy to get through this little middle grade book, but I am gonna wait until I finish B.B. Alston's series, Amari and the Night Brothers, like I was saying, and then I will go into Nevermore and then The Lightning Thief. So yeah, maybe I'll even do a read along or something for reading like my first time. Is that something that you guys would like? I feel like everyone has read it, but maybe it's been several years since people have finished Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I think that would be fun to get a group of people, some people who haven't read it or people who have, and just do a big reread. So let me know if you're interested in that in the comments, and I will get that sorted. So that was all of the fiction reads. Like I said, let me know in the comments below if any of those were your favorite and you want me to pick them up like ASAP, and I'll try to prioritize those a bit. Now moving into nonfiction, I have quite a few on this list or in this stack, because with nonfiction, I like to take my time through it and annotate and really sit and ponder and like think about the facts that are in these books. So I'm just going to rapid fire go through the stack that I am currently in the middle of right now. And to start, I am currently listening to this audiobook with my husband, and that is Mediocre: The Dangerous Legacy of White Male America by Ijeoma Oluwa. I love Ijeoma Oluwa, and this book is so good. Like, to be honest, I like have the desire to like put everything else down that I'm reading for July Noir and just power through this book because it's so engaging. But I won't do that for my husband. We're doing this together. It's our thing, but it's really good and I can't wait to finish it. Next up, we have one that you saw in my June TBR, which is Bad Gays: A Homosexual History by Hugh Lemmy and Ben Miller. So not gonna lie, I was reading this physically and it was honestly kind of hard to get through. It was just a little bit dry. I picked up the audiobook and I could consume it audibly a lot better. However, my audiobook time lapsed with Libby, so I just need to get it again. But once I do get the audiobook, then I'm sure I'll power through. So that's Bad Gays. Next up, we have Rogues: True Stories of Grifters, Killers, Rebels, and Crooks by Patrick Radden Keefe. This one's great. So this is a collection of essays or stories that he has put in like newspaper articles or magazines and stuff. That's a collection of these stories that he digs deep about people in America who were killers, grifters, crooks, robbers, things like that. And I love his writing. I'm very eager to finish this one because I think after Mediocre, my husband and I are going to listen to his other book, which is titled Empire of Pain, which is all about the opioid crisis. I've also heard his nonfiction book, Say Nothing, gets rave reviews. Like, I see that nonfiction book on people's like top 10 like of books of all time. So yeah, I really enjoy that one. Next up is a fun one, even though the topic is heavy, and that is Black AF History, or Black as Fuck History, The Unwhitewashed Story of America by Michael Harriot. This one obviously is going to be pretty brutal. He's very straightforward about the atrocities that have happened to Black people in America. However, he does throw humor in as well, and I love that because even though like these are difficult things to talk about, you have to find humor in it at some point, and he does a really good job with it, and it's very tactful. As you can tell on the cover, it's like there's pictures of the founding fathers, but they're crossed off, and it has like human traffickers, like drug smugglers, and yeah, just like petty, and you can kind of get a taste of its humor, but it's really funny, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Okay, this next one is probably the hardest one that I'm struggling with to get through for its context, well, not context, but what it's talking about, how relevant it is to the world right now, and how in-depth it is with a lot of facts, and that is The 100 Years' War on Palestine, A History of Settler Colonialism and Resistance, 1917 through 2017 by Rashid Khalidi. And like I said, this is very, very good and very thorough, and I learned a lot. I'm gonna admit, when the genocide started at the end of last year, I didn't know a lot about it, and people were really charged and amped up about this topic, as they rightfully should be, but I definitely knew that I didn't know enough, and I have this trait, tell me if you're the same, where I like to know what I'm talking about when I'm talking to other people, so when something comes up, like the situation that's happening with Palestine and Israel, and I just didn't know a lot, and I didn't feel confident in what I knew, and so I just didn't really talk about it very much, and I just don't believe in that, and I shouldn't be that way, and I'm trying to break out of that mold. So this book definitely has helped me understand this years-long struggle that has been happening over there, and if you're like me, this book is a great starting place to get that knowledge up. So yeah, that's the 100 Years' War on Palestine. And last but not least, I am in the middle of Disability Visibility, First-Person Stories from the 21st Century, edited by Alice Wong. Point blank period, it's pretty straightforward, just short stories from various individuals who identify with having a disability and what that's like living in America. Some of these stories are pretty hard to get through, so I take a break and like really think about certain things. So I'm not quite like halfway through, I'm like maybe a third through, but this one can be kind of heavy, to be honest. Like there's certain things with people with certain disabilities, and like reading from their perspective, I'm like, holy shit, I never really thought about that being an able-bodied individual, and it's very eye-opening, it's very well done. I'm eager to finish this one as well. So between those nonfictions, just like the fiction stories, let me know in the comments if any of these you're like, Scotty, continue to get through that one, or if there's other books by these authors that you like and are some of your favorites. Let's move on to my DNFs. Y'all thought that I was done, but I'm not quite yet. I figured with this pile of shame TBR, I wanted to throw in the few DNFs that I've had since I started my Goodreads, which was probably like 2015, 2016. I do not DNF very often. I think I have a total of like 6 books here that I'm going to quickly go through, but I'm trying to train that muscle up a little bit, because there are some books that I'm just like, damn it, like why didn't I just put it down? I knew in my gut this was not going to be for me, but I just have that completionist brain. If you're the same, you know, where I'm just like, I just have to finish it and make up my own mind. But since I've been reading for years and years and years, I think I can trust myself when I know if a book's for me or not. So kind of moving forward, I'm just trying to use that little muscle a bit more in order to DNF more frequently. I mean, not that I'm trying to pick up books and just DNF them, but if I have the feeling to not feel bad about choosing to DNF. So I have my phone here. I'm just going to quickly go over some of the ones that I've DNF'd. There was These Violent Delights by Micah Nemerever. I was so excited about this book because it was about like a school shooting, and I hadn't read a lot about it, but it was so boring. Like it was so slow. It just wasn't good in my opinion. It has a 3.98 and came out in 2020, but yeah, I finished that one like probably 60% of the way through. That was not good. Spare by Prince Harry. For starters, I don't know why I picked this shit up. The hype just got to me because I don't care about the royal family at all. Like that's not something that tickles my fancy. Like I don't care. I really don't. Like I can read a little bit about Princess Diana and how cool she was, but other than that, I really don't give a shit. And this was just slow, and there was some problematic shit that was in there. I'm actually going to link Ashley's review from Bookish Realms. I think she did a really good job of explaining some of the fucked up stuff that was in there and wasn't addressed. But it was not good, and it was way too long, so Spare, I put that shit down in part 1. I just couldn't do it. One that's gonna get me in trouble is Dune. I had this super fancy edition too because I was so excited about it before the book came out or before the first movie came out. And it was just boring. I don't know. It was not my thing. The reading, it was kind of difficult to get into. I had a hard time knowing which character was talking because a lot of times it would be in someone's head and it was just kind of convoluted and really slow. Also, y'all are really gonna kill me, but I don't like the Dune movies either. I feel like the dialogue is terrible. I'm not a Zendaya fan. Like, I just don't think that she was a good fit for that role, and her acting is just not awesome. So I'm just a Dune hater, and I realize that my channel is probably about to implode on itself because I'm about to have so many people in the comments talking about it, but that's just my opinion. Y'all can have Dune. It's not for me. Next up, we have This Is Going to Hurt, Secret Diaries of a Junior Doctor. I started listening to this one, and I just felt like he was kind of pretentious. I don't know. Like, I think his stories were kind of interesting, but I just didn't like him. Like, sorry to this man. Like, sorry to Adam K., but it just came across as pretentious to me, and I just put it down. It wasn't for me. One that y'all are gonna relate to and laugh about, and I feel really good because when I actually DNF'd Children of Blood and Bone, I got so much flack for that because all the girls love Children of Blood and Bone, but the third book finally came out this year, and I have seen only terrible reviews for that book, and people were talking about how they should have DNF'd it in the second book. But your girl over here knew it wasn't for her in the first book, so I did DNF that, and that's what I'm really proud of because it definitely wasn't worth it. I normally don't do that, especially for Black authors either. This is Tomi Adeyemi, but for whatever reason, it just was not vibing with me, and I put it down. It says at 53%. I wanted to love this, but it was just like any other YA trope-filled fantasy, and it didn't hold my attention. So yeah, that was it. So I just need to trust my gut when I'm reading some books and know that they may not be for me. Well, that's it. That's all. As mentioned, if you see any books and you really want me to read them, put them in the comments below. And we'll see when I look back on this video at the end of the year how many of the books I actually have finished on my pile of shame. As always, if you like what you've seen, help a girl out and leave a comment, like, and/or subscribe. And I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye.